Hey guys, what's up? MasquedBlonde here, and today we're going to be playing Lifestream, which is a text-based adventure game. Be a lot of reading, and I don't think there's going to be any action, so if that's not your sort of thing, then you might want to go ahead and turn off the video now, because I don't want you to watch something that you're not going to enjoy. But I think I'm going to enjoy this. It looks kind of interesting. I had to turn the sound way down because it was way too loud. Let's get started. Prologue, Pathways. Father Randolph Halton was dead, not literally of course, but in his heart he knew he could not live on, not after everything he had learned. Sitting at his dark oak desk in the corner of dimly lit, cozy study, the white-haired, frail Catholic priest, even frailer of late, dipped an old quill into the container of jet-black ink and began to write. Had Randolph known his research would come to this, he'd never have begun. His interest was gone, his time wasted, driven away by obsession and fear. The research controlled him now, though he supposed he was its willing victim. Randolph took a deep breath, held it as he removed the quill from the page, and read over his musings. His discovery hadn't been what he was expecting. He had to admit, but it was far greater than anything he would have imagined. Randolph slowly released his breath and continued to write. He felt an influx of emotion, joy, despair, love, and hate, all of it, all mixed into one uncontrollable sensation. Selfishness, he knew, was his greatest trial, and also, if he were honest with himself, his utmost desire. Truly, he thought, this was both heaven and hell. But Randolph's greatest fear was yet to come, putting aside his own selfish desires and will, his own sense of self. He knew the danger of his discovery would bring forth. For if knowledge of the Lifestream were to protrude further into the existent world, the world he knew and dearly loved, then he and everyone else on the planet was doomed. Doomed and damned for all eternity. Randolph put down the quill and felt the darkness surround him as tears of anguish and despair streamed down his worn face. God help me, he whispered. God give me strength. You wake with a start, gasping for air. A dream. It was only a dream. Your heart races as you glance at the clock. Nearly 4 a.m. Feels as though you've been sleeping forever. Looking around the sparse, quiet bedroom, you are reminded of your newfound solitude, and a sudden wave of sorrow hits you like a brick. You take a deep breath. You take several deep, steadying breaths. The soft patter of rain upon the room's lone window calms you, and your heartbeat begins to slow. He's still alive. He has to be. You feel hollow. Everything around you is meaningless, nothing more than a void, empty, just like you feel inside. Though dizzy, you force yourself to sit up. You treasure sleep. It's one of the few times you can get away from the torment of your life of late. Feeling a headache begin to develop, you softly rest your elbows against your knees and bring your head down to your hands, deep in thought. Your father, Randolph, is a priest at a small parish church just outside of town. But 2 weeks ago, he vanished, and no one has been able to find any trace of him since. Desperate for answers, you want to help the police with their investigation. But can't, for if word were to get out that Father Randolph has a son, his name would be ruined. Catholic priests, after all, are forbidden from sexual relations. His intimacy would constitute heresy. So instead, you waited alone, worried, and helpless. You peer into a mirror across the room and see the reflection of a young 21-year-old man with short, dark blonde hair stare back at you. His eyes pleading and innocent. You have your father's features. Every time you view yourself, you are reminded of him. You have a hard time looking into mirrors these days. Sighing, you stand up and walk over to the room's lone, dark window, whereupon you rest your head and enjoy the sensation of its cool glass pressed against your skin. You have always been close with your father. Despite everything, he gave his all to you, and to be without him now feels wrong. Everything about you, from your interests to your beliefs, was shaped by Father Randolph. He even chose your name, one with personal meaning to him, John, after his favorite apostle. I have to get away, you whisper to yourself, go someplace where I can think. You open your eyes and raise your head, suddenly resolved. To find some answers, you realize. Yes, that's it. You cannot stand idly by while your father is missing. You have to search for him yourself. And there's no better place to start than the home Randolph inherited. The house in which both you and your father grew up. If there are answers to be found, they will be here. You are sure of it. Determined, you leave immediately. You will find your father, and then everything will be right again. Sorry guys, sometimes I tend to read faster than I can speak. Present day, front yard. It is a misty morning, and the bright light of dawn shines down upon your face as you approach the grounds of your father's house from beyond the thick white fog, nothing visible behind its fluid borders. The air smells crisp and clean, and a light breeze cools your skin from sun's warmth. You pass through the squeaky front gate and proceed forward until you view the structure that lies ahead, a small two-story Victorian home, one you recognize so well. The answers you seek are here, you just know it. You quickly glance at the photo of your father in your pocket, your only tangible memory of him, and prepare yourself for the task ahead. Find a way into your father's house. Front yard. A thin pebble path surrounded by lawn leads north to the front porch of a small two-story Victorian home. The grass at the front lawn is overgrown and clearly in need of trimming. The path itself runs alongside a small pond to the west, its water clear and blue. To the east, along the side lawn at the base of the house, you see a wooden cellar door. Behind you lies a sturdy iron gate from which you entered the fenced grounds. What do you wish to examine? Grass or the iron gate? Let's do iron gate. The wrought iron gate is connected to a fence that surrounds the entire property. The fence is tall and quite sturdy. It has served your father well over the years, provided both privacy and security. You're lucky the gate wasn't locked, or else you would have had a hard time getting into the yard. The gate is open, providing passage into the morning mist. What do you wish to examine? Grass. The grass is clearly dry, as though it hasn't been watered in some time. The length of the overgrown lawn indicates many days of neglect. That's odd. Dad's always been meticulous about trimming the lawn. Has he not been here in a while? Okay. The covered front porch is made of white painted wood and appears to be well maintained. The floorboards creak as you move upon them, revealing the home's age. The front door provides entry north into your father's house. The front yard lies south. At the side of the porch next to the front door is a small mailbox. Let's examine the mailbox. The small mailbox looks newer than the rest of the porch, which makes sense considering you've never seen it before. Your father must have had it installed recently. Alright, what do you do with the mailbox? Let's look inside the mailbox. You try to open the mailbox only to discover that it's locked. The lock itself appears flimsy. Oh, so we can break the lock. Examine something else. Let's examine the front door. The elaborate front door has seen some changes over the years. The window pane has been replaced and you can tell that a new lock has been installed. Interesting. What do you do with the front door? Knock on the door, open the door, examine something else. Well, I assume the door is locked. So let's knock on the door. You knock on the front door and wait a moment, but no one answers and you hear no movement behind the door. Okay. Well, let's see if it'll open. The door's locked. Odd, your father always left it open. Perhaps the area isn't quite as safe as it once was. Alright, let's examine something else. Let's go look at the pond. The pond is to the west, and to the east we have a wooden cellar door. So I want to see what the pond. I want to look all over the outside before I try to go inside. Okay, pond. You are standing near a small pond. Its water is crystal blue and a light wind blows across its serene top, sending calming ripples toward you. Surrounding the pond are several thick, tall pine trees and, at their base, a number of daisy-like flowers. Beyond, the mist thickens, creating an empty void. The front yard lies east. That water is refreshing. You peer into the water and see your reflection, so like your father's. A sense of peace envelops you, and you take a moment to breathe in fresh air and enjoy the tranquil spot. Several small pebbles and stones adorn the base of the pond. I don't think throwing a pebble will do anything, so let's pick up a stone. You pick up one of the stones. Congratulations, you've picked up an item. It will now be stored in your inventory. Maybe you will find a place to use it soon. When you picked up a stone, your score increased. You can view your current score by opening the character window. What happens when I throw a pebble into the water? Remember something you used to do as a child? You pick up a small pebble from the gravel and throw it into the water, watching the ripples as it skips across the pond. Okay, let's examine something else now. Let's examine the trees. The trees are green and lush. As a kid, you remember climbing them, sitting upon their branches and reading a book under the shade. The seclusion was enjoyable to you, as you've always preferred peace and quiet over the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Now the trees are much taller and you are much older. Let's look at the flowers. You recognize the flowers from your youth. While they look like daisies, they are actually chamomile. Your father used to pick them fresh, dry them, and brew them into tea. Oh, I hear it's actually quite good. Alright, so let's go east. And now we're back to the front yard. Let's see. What happens when we continue going east toward the cellar? This is the east end of your father's house. Along the base of the house lies a large cellar door. You recall that a door leads north down into the basement. Next to this is a gas meter. The front yard lies west. An old wooden shed sits to the edge of the lawn to the east. Let's see about that shed. The small wooden shed is old and worn. You can see water damage along its edges, and the exterior emits the faint but distinct odor of mold. The shed doors are locked via a small padlock around their handles. What do you want to do with the shed? Before we force open, let's see what the padlock. In order to unlock the shed, you must solve a puzzle. In this case, you must find the proper combination to the padlock. You have everything you need to figure out the combination, see if you can solve the puzzle. Alright, let's examine something else. Alright, let's look at the gas meter. The gas meter controls the flow of natural gas to and from the house. The shutoff valve is sealed. The cellar door. The strong wood of the cellar door prevents passage into the basement. Its handles are linked together by several thick chains, most likely to keep out intruders. What happens if I try to... Try as you might, you're not strong enough to break the chains binding the cellar door. Okay, so apparently I have everything I need to... I don't know what it is I have. Okay, so let's look at my inventory. Randolph Holton. Okay, alright. So H-O-L-T-O. Yes! Upon entering the last letter, you hear a small pop as the padlock releases its bolt. Proud to have figured out the combination, you pull off the padlock and throw it to the ground. The doors to the shed easily swing open. Okay. You can now travel east. Alright. Great job solving the puzzle. Now that you have unlocked the shed, notice that in new directions available, you may now travel east. Alright. Lies a large... But I want to keep going. Shed. The small, cramped shed is filled with various tools and gardening equipment, most of which is far too rusted to be of use. The walls are damp, suggesting it has rained recently, and the space smells strongly of mold. A wooden table sits in the center of the room, upon which rests a red steel toolbox. On the left side of the table is an orange pot. The shed exists west to the side lawn. Also on the table is a roll of duct tape. Which do you wish to examine? I think I can take the duct tape. The roll of duct tape is almost used up. There's just enough left for one or two uses. Yeah, let's take the tape. Continue. Let's examine the toolbox. The red steel toolbox is of standard design. You attempt to lift it, but by its weight you can tell that there are many tools inside. Let's open the toolbox. Toolbox is firmly locked. You see a small keyhole at its base. We don't have a key yet. So let's examine the pot. A large circular orange pot sits on the ground, half filled with soil. A wilted plant protrudes from its center. Okay, is there something buried in it? Ah, this is my father's favorite plant. He never neglected it like this. What could have happened? Okay, so I can't do anything with there yet. What does it say about the gas meter? Let's go back west. So if I go up north, With all your might, you swing the small stone at the top of the mailbox and easily break open its flimsy lock. You'll buy your father a new one. Considering the circumstances, you're sure he won't mind. The mailbox is now open. Inside the mailbox are an envelope, a postcard, and today's newspaper. What do you do next? Take everything. You take the mail and pocket the small key, then close the mailbox. Continue. You have received a journal entry. Notice that the journal icon now features an exclamation point. This indicates that you have an unread entry to read it. Open your journal and select. Okay, so let's see what's in here. Mail, unread. A handwritten letter found in the envelope. Oops, I completely forgot to give you this key, which we found on the premises. I'm not sure what it opens, but it might help you out as soon as you sort everything. It's probably a mess there, but hey, you knew what you were getting into, right? If you require anything else, please do not hesitate to contact me. Warm regards, Penny. I bet it opens the cellar and not the front door. Mail. To Randolph Holton, our current resident. I, Mayor Michael Whiteman, would like to invite you and your family to visit Shady Brook, one of the last true western towns in our country today. In Shady Brook, we believe in traditional country values, honesty, integrity, and most importantly, family. You'll find it to be a quiet town filled with some of the friendliest folk this side of the Mississippi. So come mosey on down and visit us. Be sure to bring the kids. I promise it will be a vacation you won't soon forget. Cordially, Mayor Michael Whiteman. I'm not going to say anything. Today's newspaper. Some of the ink is smudged, blocking out certain portions of the text. Prairieville Gazette, September, smudged. Ancient manuscript raises eyebrows in Vatican, by Patrick Stan, smudged. The Vatican announced yesterday that it has received an ancient manuscript as part of a smudged, dependent, privately funded archaeological dig currently taking place in Jerusalem. While sources are silent on both the smudged of the dig and contents of the manuscript, the Vatican is hopeful that the document may contain red material that will prove invaluable to the faith. More information, smudged, after the Vatican conducts internal research on the validity of smudged. Okay. Back. Okay. Alright, so it's going to be the toolbox. You use the small key to unlock the toolbox. With a click, the bolt releases. You open the toolbox. Inside are several rusted tools and plenty of nails. Of note inside is a broken hammer. Take the broken hammer. You take the broken hammer and close the toolbox, which we're going to use the duct tape on. Alright, so broken hammer. Hammer, an old hammer that you repaired with some duct tape. Alright. I guess I could try it on the toolbox, but I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah. Alright. Cellar door. A little vandalism in the name of rescue never hurt anyone, right? You swing the hammer down time and again into the wooden cellar door until the wood breaks apart. Let's go inside. With its wrecked remains littering the ground, passage into the basement is now clear. As you step around the debris, you feel a pang of guilt for entering the cellar door, but remind yourself that it is all to find your missing father. Okay guys, we're going to end the video here before we enter the house. I don't want a game that doesn't have a whole lot of action to be a particularly long video, because I know people can get kind of bored with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and end the video before we enter the house, and then maybe make 2 or 3 more videos on this, and then I think it takes like maybe an hour to solve this whole thing. But yeah, I wanted to do something different, and after that last game, Stories Untold, I really wanted to play a text-based game, and I'm actually enjoying this. It's just a different way to play. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, hit that like button. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video.